queen spotting is just one of those skills you need to teach yourself. You can take in-person classes, shadow a beekeeper, or have an experienced beekeeper come to your apiary if you think that would be helpful. But when it comes down to it, this is a skill you need to teach yourself after months of just opening the hive week after week. So first, step one. If you are having difficulty finding your queen, or you're in the very beginning stages of finding your queen and your hive is small, and you have not found that your hive is really aggressive and smoke is incredibly necessary, cool it with the smoke. Try to use a little bit less smoke when first opening the hive, and only put smoke in the hive if you find it necessary. Because with those skittish queens, smoke is the first sign that they need to start hiding. When I open it up, bees aren't really looking up at me. They are down inside doing their thing, just a couple of them on the top bars. So I'm not going to put any smoke in the hive. I'm going to keep the amount of smoke down to a minimum, step one. And step two, we're going to move slowly and gently. We don't want any cause for alarm. This beehive is just 2 brood boxes. So we're going to start with the uppermost box, and we are going to work our way down. Because it is common for a queen to jump off of the frame she's on and go to the frame below it. Now, the next step to finding your queen, which this is a little bit more in the planning phase of things, but it is common, you know, queens have different personalities. Some are very skittish and will run at the onset of smoke or the first time you take the lid off the hive. If you're using a queen excluder, you might want to not use them anymore, because as soon as you start to pull that excluder off, and that snapping of it coming off can really agitate your bees. And that can sound an alarm for the queen to hide. She is the heart of the hive. Without her, the hive is in big trouble. So she wants to hide. Not for the sake of just her life, but for the life of the whole colony. So some queens, as I said, you take them out and they don't care what's going on. They just keep laying eggs. But it is very rare to see a queen just keep doing what she's doing and pay no attention to the beekeeper. Most of the time they will stop what they're doing, they will stop laying eggs, and they will at the very least start walking around. So here we have a frame that is covered in bees. Where is the queen in this whole situation? If you need to, lightly blow on the bees if you have a big pile of them, so that you can get them to move out of the way so you can see what's under there. Now you see right there, I put the frame down and it started to slip out of my hand about an inch off the ground. And even just that, bees didn't fall off the frame, but they made a little jerk and the bees made a little zzz sound. And those are things we want to avoid as much as possible when inspecting our hive. And it happens, but try to avoid it as much as possible. Now, as I'm pulling these frames out, the first thing I am going to do is spend 5 seconds maximum looking at the frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn it over. Look on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You do not want to spend a lot of time inspecting one side of the frame. Meanwhile, the queen could be on the other, and she is now hidden. You want to look at the frame in just sections. Thirds is a good way to look at it. And you want to let your eye gravitate towards what just looks a little bit different. Some queens are entirely black with no stripings. Some are a darker caramel colored with just a 1 or 2 stripings in the very bottom. So you see, I'm not spending a lot of time looking at the frames. I'm just looking really fast on one side, flipping it over to look at the other. Then, once you have looked for the queen and you've decided she's probably not on this frame, you can look at everything else. And that's the most important tip I can give you. It's what my boss, who was a 4th generation beekeeper, told me to do. Do not spend too much time looking for the queen on one side of the frame while she can go hiding on another side. You might see some large bees on there. And it's normal for people to first wonder if that's the queen. But if you can see those very large eyes, that is a giveaway that that is a drone. All right, moving on. This is also more in the planning stage, but when you are setting up your hive, you'll probably notice that if you put all of your frames in your box, say 10 frames in a 10 frame box, 8 frames in an 8 frame box, you're going to find that there's this gap. If you put them all right up against each other, so there's no gap in between the frames, there will be a gap between the last frame and the wall of the box. So what most beekeepers do is they spread their frames out so that there's 1/8 of an inch gap between their frames. And that makes it a little bit easier to pull the frames out and stuff. But what that does is also, you're gonna see more burr comb, which is comb that goes off of the frame a little bit, connects onto other frames. So if you space your frames out and don't put them flush up against each other, you are allowing for more than that bee space, which is about 3/8 of an inch in between frames, which will encourage comb growth. See, some of my frames are mediums in this deep box. Some of them don't have foundation, but you'll see that the bees are building comb right in the frame. I have no popsicle sticks, no little drawn out beeswax, no foundation, no beeswax foundation, but the bees are building in a straight line. And that is because the hive is level and there is no extra gap between the frames. See, this frame has no foundation in it. It's pretty solid, it's drawn out all the way, but there are holes. There are holes up on the top and the side. And so you're looking at one side of the frame. It is very easy for a queen to go right through one of these gaps on this side and run over to the other side. And if you have little bits of burr comb hanging off your frame, if you have little pieces of comb anywhere, the queen can hide behind it and between the foundation and your comb. And that is a really easy way for her to hide from you and for you to never be able to find her. I have another tip for you. When you are picking up your nuke, or if you are getting a package, take a picture of your queen so that you have a general idea of what she looks like. So you know if you're looking for one that's really dark or one that's caramel colored. That can really be helpful, especially when the comb starts to get darker from propolis. It can be helpful to know that you're looking for a queen bee that can be really dark and blending in with the comb. Now if she's in a cage, that's really easy. If you're picking up a nuke, then you might be just saying to that beekeeper, hey, can you open up the nuke and show me the queen? And of course, those first couple of years, get a marked queen. I don't recommend marked queens you know, all the time. It's good to get used to finding your queen without a dot on her. So if your bees ever make a queen, she's not going to be born with a dot on her back. Moving on to the next box. Working our way down. Still not using smoke if I can help it. Moving slowly and steadily. And I am not looking at each individual bee. I am looking at the frame in thirds. Looking really quickly. And then flipping it over. Now when you're looking for the queen, don't forget there's a top bar, there's sidebars, there's a bottom bar. It is really common for the queen to be on those sides, or for her to be jumping over to the other side when you're looking at this side. Okay, next step. After you're done looking for the queen, if you don't see her on either side, you're going to look inside the cells, because at the very least you want to see signs of a queen. When a queen lays an egg, it hatches into a larva on day 3. The first day she lays it, it stands straight up, and then it starts to fall over. So we also want to see signs of the queen. Not only that, but we want to pay extra attention to the frames that have eggs on them. There's a good chance that she just ran over to the other side. You have to keep in mind the queen, it's total darkness in this hive. And so the queen leaves once when she's just a few days old to mate. And she comes back to the darkness of the hive and stays there all day, day after day, week after week, laying eggs. She might leave if the bees swarm, but that's it. So this frame is covered in small larvae. And let's bring it out into the sun to see if there are eggs. Yep, lots of eggs. So I am going to do one other look back on the other side. And this side. Before putting it back into the hive. My final tip for you, because keep in mind, this isn't for finding any queen. This is for finding even the hardest to find queens. When you are pulling a frame out, it is also common for the queen to jump off the frame onto the frame next to it. So it is possible that she is jumping off this frame and onto the frame you just looked at. So, after pulling out the frame, you can also do a quick check, or when you're also pulling out the frame, do a quick check on the frames to either side of the one you just pulled out. Because you might see the tail end of her walking away. Now look at the frame in thirds. Let your eye gravitate towards the thing that looks different from the rest, and try to spot the queen bee. Now let's look onto the other side. Oi. Now watch. Queen bee is on my side. She just went right through these two little pieces of comb onto your side, the side that the camera is facing. Do you see her? Let's do a real quick review. Step 1, use no smoke or very little smoke if at all possible. 2, move slowly with no sudden or jerky movements. Avoid using things like queen excluders that alarm the bees and get them a little bit upset before you even pull frames out. 3, avoid cross comb or burr comb by having all of your frames close together and having your hive level. When you do see burr comb or cross comb, remove it so that the queen doesn't have somewhere to hide. Look inside the box and down in the frame before even pulling it out. When pulling it out, look at the frame that is next to it in case the queen jumped off the frame when it was in motion onto the frame next to it. Look at the frame in thirds, letting your eye look for something that looks a little bit different from the rest. Do not look at each individual bee. Spend no more than 5 seconds looking on each side of the frame before flipping it over to look on the others. Make sure to look on the top bar, the side bars, and the bottom bar as well. If this frame has eggs on it, and especially if these eggs are standing up, do another quick check on either side of the frame as well as the top, sides, and bottom, because there is a good chance she is on that frame. If there is a clump of bees, lightly blow on them to get them to move out of the way in case the queen's hiding under them. And if all else fails, put queen excluders between your 2 brood boxes and one on top of that second brood box. Then open up the hive a few days later, at least 4 days later, and see which box has eggs in it. This will be the box your queen is in, and it will be a lot easier to find your queen amongst 8 to 10 frames of honeycomb versus 2 boxes of honeycomb. And then have a queen marking kit with you so that you can mark her when you do spot her. Remember, you don't have to spot your queen on every inspection, but you do have to see signs of a queen. So it's actually just as important to be able to spot eggs as it is to spot your queen bee. Do not put off learning how to spot your queen though. This is a very important skill that you don't want to just be able to do sometimes. You want to be able to do it on demand and in hives that are large and heavily populated, so that if you need to split your hive or you have a really aggressive hive and you want to get rid of that queen, you can. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my online beekeeping course at beekeepingmadesimple.com. There's lots of free guides and inspection sheets within our blog. And of course, our online course has live chats and mentorship with me, so you can contact me when you have questions specific to your house. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.